once again, thyroid gland and the anatomy of it, okay? When we're looking at the structure of the thyroid gland, well, I've tried to represent here the follicles that are existing, and then how in those follicles we're going to have the follicular cells The follicular cells are, of course, contained in the colloid, but in between the follicles, bless me. Thank you. In between the follicles, because that's what parafollicular means, all right, like around, all right? We're going to also find that we have some cells. Note what they deal with, all right? My parafollicular cells, they respond to a rise in the blood calcium. Now, why am I pointing that out? When we look at the parathyroid glands, the ones on the posterior side, guess what they're going to deal with for calcium? If this is a rise in the blood, what do you think the parathyroid glands are going to do?
Reduce.
Decrease. They're going to deal with a decrease in the bloodstream. Why do I need to be so concerned with the calcium in my bloodstream?
Too much calcium is toxic.
Not toxic. If this is my blood vessel, okay,
Can't too much calcium cause cardiac arrest?
but that's not toxic.
Okay.
That's deadly. It can go into soft tissues and harden them, which is what will happen with the arteries. Why do I need to be so concerned with calcium levels in my blood? Calcium, all right? When we hear calcium, what do we think about?
Bones.
Bones. So we think about our bones, all right? This electrolyte, one of the things about it, because the body functions on negative feedback, a lot of times when you look at negative feedback, you kind of see it allowing this to happen with the fluctuations going pretty high, pretty low, pretty high, pretty low. Guess what the body's going to do with calcium? It's only going to allow this. It is not going to allow a huge fluctuation of being too high or too low. In the body, if calcium is too high, there are health effects that come with that. if calcium is too low, there are health effects that come with that. Calcium, if the levels in the blood are too high, these cells of the thyroid gland can secrete their hormone. What is it that I'm telling you they stimulate? What cell am I telling you that they stimulate? My osteoblast, which is a bone cell.
So it just it causes it to break down the bone.
Not the blast. Do you guys remember what the blast does? Builds it. So if my calcium levels are high in the blood, in the bones of the body, it's going to make those blasts get more active so that I can lay down more bone. Hydroxyapatite. Do you guys remember that? Okay. Why would I want that high level of calcium to get stored in the bone? It's going to make my bones stronger. We don't have enough calcium in our diet. Our bones are weaker. But we also need the other vitamins too, like vitamin D. Don't forget that. But what is the main thing calcium controls in the body? Nerve conduction, muscle contraction. It is the major one of the two. Major players in nerve conduction and muscle contraction. What would happen to the nerves and the muscles of the body if calcium levels are too high? What is it going to make the nerve do? What's it going to make the muscle do? Do what?
Make the nerves become hyperactive and the bones contract.
Now, we would think that's what would happen. Because if it's too high, we're thinking hyper, so we would think more nerve conduction, more muscle contraction. It's the opposite. It makes the nerves less reactive and the muscle less reactive. And it can be to the point, now remember, I have skeletal muscle, I have smooth muscle, I have cardiac muscle. Every single one of them dependent on calcium. If I slow down the activity of my cardiac muscle and my smooth muscle to a certain point, they quit and I die. This is the reason the body needs to control the calcium. People can come in sick, having different symptoms, and it can be totally related to calcium levels in the body. It could be related to potassium. It could be related to the chlorine. Do you see where I'm going with my electrolytes? Clinically significant, most definitely. So, one of the jobs of my thyroid, keep a check. Secrete calcitonin if needed. Hopefully, that's going to cause my osteoblast to deposit the calcium on the bone rather than depositing it into my arteries, which are going to make them harden, or into the soft tissues of my body, i.e., stuff getting little hard calcium deposits in the body, or in the kidneys, which could contribute to the formation of kidney. Do you see where I'm going? Very clinically significant. Thyroid is an important gland. Any questions? All right.